Siege of Orison. It's bad. Hey, it's Nick, and today I want to talk about the Siege of Orison and Star Citizen, the changes CIG has made to it, why I feel that Siege of Orison is a terrible event for players to attempt to experience in its current form, and why I personally feel that Siege of Orison should be moved from an MMO world event to an MMO raid. I'll discuss the flow of Siege of Orison, the player's experience, and what changes could enhance this event. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? To understand what Siege of Orison is, for those who are new to Star Citizen, Siege of Orison is a dynamic event in Star Citizen. I use the term dynamic loosely because there is nothing dynamic about this mission itself, and the event is on a scheduled timer. The event takes the player right at Orison itself with a shuttle to take you to the platforms on which the mission takes place. Here, you will need to shoot your way through waves of Ninetales and defeat their lieutenants, gather their access codes, turn off the anti-air turrets on the 3 platforms, and take a Crusader's ships that are on the platforms to the admin center to attack the final boss, to take his code and change the iffy device. This is the lore's way of saying you can't fly your ship into this area for this reason. You turn it off, mission complete, congratulations. Everything is the same as it was before, and nothing changes. Oh, but you get some UEC for your time, but is it worth your time to do Siege of Orison? Before I give my answer, let's discuss the flow of Siege of Orison, the player's experience, and what players can experience in Siege of Orison, the good, the bad, and the awful. Let's begin with the awful, shall we? Without a doubt, the most awful thing about Siege of Orison is the shuttles. Everything from their travel speed to having to manually send them, the routes they take, and the lack of options is all an awful experience for large groups, as well as large group event where players can be split up, be looting, respawning, or any number of things that can get players separated. Due to these awful shuttles, if you find yourself behind the group or player that is ahead of you, and they take off without you, you can be stuck for minutes on end, sitting and doing nothing in the game while their group that just left you behind is disembarking, laying waste to enemies, completing the objectives, and just playing the game and event. For example, in my last playthrough of Siege of Orison, there was a small group that was ahead of the shuttle we took. The elevator is also another massive issue for Siege of Orison, as only a small number of players can take an elevator at a time and can kill you if you are not careful with too many players in the elevator with you. This further separates player groups into those who can run ahead and actually experience Siege of Orison, and those who are stuck waiting for a shuttle, as the only way to get to the next platform is waiting for a specific shuttle to take you to the platform that is in the sequence of the events. If you die, you need to start from the beginning all over again in sequence. Now, CIG does try to alleviate that with the final platform, unlocking another shuttle to take you from the starting platform to the final platform, Heartmoor. But that's if players have actually established that connection at Heartmoor. To me, this is a terrible experience for players, as it separates those who are speedrunning the event to get it done and over with, and those who are trying to figure out what is even happening when they just arrive at the first platform. The group in the front is already on the second platform or going to admin. It leads to a terrible player experience for those who are stuck behind a small group that can be rushing ahead. Now, as an ex-game dev, this has been really bugging me so much that I had to sit down, think to myself, what can make the player experience during Siege of Orison better for players who may find themselves having to wait for a shuttle, and to keep the players together as much as possible throughout the event for a gameplay experience that has players taking down the Ninetales instead of waiting for shuttles. Let's start with what many games have done in the past. Checkpoints. Checkpoints are mostly used in video games as loading point after a player has progressed past a certain point. Many games call them different things, but we can stick with just a checkpoint for now. A position in the game world that players could be taken to after death. If we look at other MMOs such as World of Warcraft, after a certain boss or location has been reached, a new checkpoint is unlocked, and sometimes an object to interact with to fast travel to catch up to the group ahead is generated, and the players and group that are ahead are usually unable to proceed forward unless all players are ready or have passed a certain point, or else they would be instantly killed by the boss if they rushed ahead, and other things. Now, I'm not saying CIG, please add fast travel and teleporting. However, CIG can achieve a similar experience with what they already have in the game, using the exact same system that is separating players and using the shuttles as a system to bring players together. We can start with the very first shuttle players use from Crusaders Towers to head to the VIP platforms. Of course, increasing the speed will help players get back to the group, but I think we can take it a step further. If we wanted to implement a checkpoint system for the mission group as a whole, CIG could make it so that upon completion of all objectives on a platform, the shuttle could reroute to the next platform in sequence and skip the first platform and move on to the second platform. This would allow any player on the first shuttle, for whatever reason, to be brought to where the current objectives currently are. Again, keeping the players with the mission as close as possible to be able to work together on objectives. Secondly, they can move the manual request for shuttles and have shuttles run on an automated timer, just like all the other trains, trains, and shuttles in the game. This seems simple, but this would make it so that no player can run ahead, hit a button, and leave as many people behind as possible. Making the shuttles faster and more frequent would also reduce the separation from those who are ahead to those who are left behind, allowing players to catch up to the group ahead. Thirdly, they can add more shuttles between the platforms so that each platform has a shuttle going to the other platforms. Again, only unlocking the shuttles based on the current objective of the mission when they have reached a certain point of what players have accomplished. Another note I would add is the elevators are still a problem for this event. They further separate players in a way that negatively affects the experience of Siege of Orison. I don't know what CIG could do to fix these outside of just making the elevators bigger. And elevators just suck. I hate elevators. Don't get me started on an elevator, citizen. For the love of God, CIG, let me take the freaking stairs like the goddamn role-playing madman I am. Anyways, I feel if CIG focused on improving the player experience for all players, Siege of Orison could be a great raid. This brings me to my final point I would like to make about Siege of Orison. I think it shouldn't be an event the way CIG has been running it. The way Siege of Orison plays out and its structure to me resembles more of a raid than any kind of world event or world boss in MMOs I've experienced. I believe the best thing CIG could do, in my own opinion, is shelve Siege of Orison as an event and rework it into a raid. Maybe having a minimum party size to start the mission, certain reputations to be unlocked by at least one party member to start the raid for the party, and locking out players who are not in the party. This, coupled with the improvements to shuttles I recommended that CIG make, could make Siege of Orison much more dynamic, requiring players to interact with each other to organize Siege of Orison runs, and keeping those taking part within closer proximity of each other and the mission objectives. Anyway, these are the changes and improvements I would like to see to Siege of Orison. I'm going to, of course, leave the common bugs and issues of the event currently has out of it, as I just wanted to focus on the game design of Siege of Orison and how the player experience could, and I hope will, improve. Let me know what you think of the suggestions comment section below. Keep it respectful. Also, if you've already made it so this far in the video, you might as well hit the subscribe button, because I will be posting more Star Citizen content like this, as well as other less formal videos on YouTube. And to answer the question, is Siege of Orison worth your time? I would say right now, no. It is not worth your time. Hey, it's Nick, and that's all for now.